Welcome to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. You are in the Oval Office, the White House, of Gulf Coast Talk Radio, broadcasting to parts of 4 states along the Gulf Coast, and broadcasting to the nation and the world by live stream on the internet. Carl is not ashamed of the Word of God, the Constitution, or the Declaration of Independence. He does not care about political correctness, nor does he depend upon a teleprompter or popularity polls. Carl stands for truth, reason, and common sense. Carl firmly believes that America is God's gift to the world. If any of that interests you, you are at the right place. Freedom Friday on 1330 WEBY. Now, here's Carl Gallups.
How'd you like that dramatic entrance? Welcome back, Gulf Coast. Welcome back, America. It is Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, your world-famous producer, Mallory Bardwell. And up next, Jeffrey Kuhner out of WRKO along the eastern seaboard out of Boston. He's also a columnist for the Washington Times. He's a good friend of mine. I knew Jeff when he was a nobody. Now, he's a rising blowtorch of a superstar in talk radio world. Jeff, thank you for gracing us with your presence. God bless you, Jeff. Thanks for being here today.
Funny. God bless you, Carl. Great to be with you, my friend.
Yeah, well, no, listen, I'm being funny, but it's all true, man. I mean, you are a rising superstar, and the Lord has his hand on you, and I praise God for that. And thank you for being with us almost every single Friday.
You're a Christian warrior, Carl, and I couldn't do any less but stand shoulder to shoulder with you, my friend.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Hey, listen. Tell us anything you want to tell us, because you're just a wealth of information, stuff that we're not going to get, in the media unless you tell us. But tell us what's going on, the latest breaking with Benghazi Gate. This thing is stinking to high heaven, Jeff. And I'm telling you, I believe there's a bigger rat behind this than we know yet. There's a reason why this whole thing was bungled. What are you hearing? What do you know? What's breaking? What's going on?
Carl, Benghazi Gate is slowly becoming like Watergate. It is a cancer on the presidency. It is spreading. It is dragging down the president's men. It is engulfing the White House, and it will eventually, I believe, devour Obama himself. What we have now found out, the absolute latest news, is that CIA operatives have now confirmed that they were told by the administration to hold back and not come to the rescue of Ambassador Chris Stevens or the other 3 U.S. officials that were butchered in Benghazi on September 11th.
And this stuff was happening in real time, wasn't it,
Jeff? In real time. This is what is now remarkable. Here's what we're finding out now, Carl. And this is now thoroughly corroborated, thoroughly documented. This is why I believe Obama's days are numbered. It doesn't matter whether he wins or loses the presidency. We now know that the consulate in Benghazi was attacked in April of this year. It was attacked again in June of this year. In fact, the attack in June was so ferocious, it blew a hole through the wall defending the compound. We know now that the British consulate and the British ambassador thought the situation was so dangerous, so frightening, that they pulled out. The Red Cross said the same thing and shut down their operations in Benghazi. We now know through emails and multiple cables that Ambassador Chris Stevens repeatedly told the State Department and the administration that he feared for his life, that he feared for those of his staff members and colleagues, that they needed more enhanced security, that the jihadists were roaming the streets of Benghazi. For months, they didn't ask, they begged for more security, every time request denied. Now we have found out, under oath, State Department officials have testified that there were cameras in the compound which were viewing the compound in real time. They were looking at it all day. There was not one protest. Never did they see a protester. It had the Muslim video had nothing to do with anything. It was complete silence in front of the consulate.
In other words, that was just a big old fat lie.
That was a complete lie. It was a Hollywood manufactured fiction. It was Star Wars.
Wow.
They gave us Star Wars. At 10 o'clock Benghazi time, 4 o'clock our time, the cameras saw 20 armed men storm the compound with AK-47s and mortars. They saw on real time them shooting up the place and targeting our officials. At 6:07 p.m. our time, midnight Benghazi time, our CIA people on the ground sent an email back to the administration, to the FBI, to the CIA, to the Director of National Intelligence, but most importantly, to the White House Situation Room, the President's command post, to two of his men in his inner circle, saying that Ansar al-Sharia has claimed responsibility and they are behind this attack. Our CIA station chief in Libya, within 24 hours, said that the al-Qaeda-affiliated group was behind the attack.
Right.
Now, here is where I think the story gets very interesting.
Hey, stop. Hey, Jeff, before you go any further, you've got to hear this. I know you're probably upset that I'm breaking in, but this goes to directly what you're saying. Breaking news on Drudge right now. Petraeus throws Obama under the bus. Do you know what he said? It's on Drudge. It says, General Petraeus, or David Petraeus, the CIA director, this is what he's just released. Drudge it just refreshed in front of my face. Quote, no one at any level in the CIA told anybody not to help those in need. Claims to the contrary are simply inaccurate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the CIA has been telling that to journalists here in Washington all day.
So who was it that said, don't send military assets? It can only go one step higher than that.
Exactly. We had a drone over the compound now. We know this the whole time. Taking photos, videotaping surveillance, and sending it back to Washington. We also now know that we had AC-130 gunships,
right,
fighter jets.
Right.
Our military personnel were 1 hour away.
Right.
The people on the ground begged for military backup.
For hours.
Our CIA officers begged for military backup, and the president did nothing.
What's with Leon Panetta telling everyone that he didn't know enough to deploy any troops? What's up with that, man? I mean, he's lying.
He's protecting the president, and in fact, we know that. And so the question now is this: why did Obama not send in reinforcements? Remember, this attack took place over 6 hours. We could have saved our men.
Yeah.
In other words, the president left our people twisting in the wind, vulnerable, exposed. He sacrificed them like sheep to these Islamist butchers because he didn't want to come to their aid. And the reason he gave at the time, and I know this for a fact, and that's why I pointed out in my column today, was he told high-ranking senior officials around him, his defense counsel, that he needed, quote, the permission of the government in Tripoli to, quote, violate Libya's sovereignty. So basically, he didn't want to violate Libya's sovereignty. He was more concerned with what the Libyan government would think,
and there is
what the United Nations would think, with what the Arab League would think, rather than coming to the rescue of our ambassador and our officials who were then being besieged.
Yeah, and there really is no Libyan government, I mean, at this point. I mean, there really isn't.
It's a joke. It's a shadow government. It's a joke of a government. Libya is a failed state. But, Carl, this goes to the heart of the matter. The President of the United States didn't just turn a blind eye. The President of the United States didn't just engage in a systematic cover-up to lie and deceive the American people on what happened. He did now one step more. He deliberately denied assistance to our people who could have been saved.
Yeah.
He committed treason.
Yes, thank you.
He violated his constitutional oath to defend Americans from enemies, foreign and domestic.
Thank you. That's the word that I've been using. Listen, if he loses the election, are we still going to pursue this? It's treasonous.
Carla, my wife has asked me this. She said, well, if he loses, is the Libya thing over? I said, it's not.
It can't be.
Even if he loses, he must be impeached. This is a criminal action. What he did was criminal. It was criminal on many areas. It was negligence. It was a betrayal of his oath of office. He deliberately lied to the American people. He politicized the intelligence and the intelligence community. I mean, what he did to me, if this is not a high crime and misdemeanor, if the President of the United States is aware of a terrorist attack does nothing to defend our compound, and then goes on to lie about the terrorist attack not being a terrorist attack, if that's not a high crime and misdemeanor, then nothing is.
I know.
We might as well just become a dictatorship.
I know. Listen, is there anything to the some little snippet rumor reports that I've been seeing today and I think late last night that Hillary Clinton was getting ready to out Obama and release some documents and that Bill was urging her to do so? I've seen some reports on that. Is there anything to that?
The rumor in Washington, I don't like to go on rumors. I like to confirm
I understand.
things. But what people in Washington are saying is, remember there was a big leak last week where the State Department said, you know what, they knew. Right. And they leaked that email about at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 hours after the attack, where it said, no, Ansar al-Sharia took credit. The rumor is that Hillary's people were behind that because he essentially threw Hillary under the bus and he threw the State Department under the bus, saying, you know what, my intelligence community, my State Department failed me. They never gave me the information that I needed.
Right.
Well, a lot of people in the CIA and a lot of people in the State Department are saying, you're not going to scapegoat us.
Right.
You're not going to make us the scapegoat for this, Mr. President.
Right.
You knew, you covered it up, and more than that, you did nothing. You refused to lift a finger that could have saved our people on the ground. Chris Stevens could be alive today.
Right.
Everybody could have been alive today had this man acted. And instead, like Nero, like Caligula, he's more interested in his political fundraiser the next day. He's more interested in stuffing his face at the Vegas buffet table.
Right.
He's more interested in playing the blackjack tables than he is in defending our people who are now under attack. To me, he has to be prosecuted. He has to be impeached. I think he should be tried.
Yeah.
Honestly, Carl, I think this thing should go to court. And he needs to serve time in prison for this.
Listen, there's Fast and Furious Gate, there's Benghazi Gate, there's the Libya War Gate, there's the Arab Spring Gate, there's the Muslim Brotherhood Gate, there's the Identifying Documents Sealed Gate. I mean, one travesty after another. At the very least, he needs to be investigated and tried for this. It's unbelievable. Jeff, look, we've got to take a time out, and then when we come back, you and I will go at this some more, okay?
You got it, buddy.
All right, good deal. Folks, you're listening to Freedom Friday. Carl Gallups, our special guest this afternoon, Jeffrey Kuhner. Man, you're going to get more of this when we come back. Hang in there. We'll be right back.